all about poker strategy. I'm your host for both, Jim Reid. I go by Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on socials. And I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends every Monday night, 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. Join us for free and you can win a prize just for showing up. We have a very special guest tonight, our own Dan Kennedy. I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm really excited about this interview. But before we talk to Dan, I'm proud to mention that we are brought to you by Running Aces, the official sponsor of the RecPoker podcast. You can find out more about them at runaces.com. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we really depend on support from our sponsors and from our premium members who take part in our training materials and study opportunities for only $22 a month. You can always get your first month of premium membership at RecPoker for $5 by using the code RecPoker at checkout. Or, you know, we love supporting local food banks around here. So if you make a donation of any amount to your local food bank and send us the receipt, we'll happily send you your first month of premium membership for free as a way of just saying thanks for helping out your fellow human. And I hope you do. Now, you know my voice because they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man. It takes a crew to make all the magic happen around here. We call our leadership panel the Wrecking Crew. If you want to learn more about me or the rest of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew or just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them here on the show tonight. I am joined by Chris Jones, Lorianne Persinger, Joe Coolis, John Somsky, Rob Washam, and of course our invisible producer, Rob Gardner. Let's just, before we get into Dan, let's just see what's up with the panel here a little bit. I don't know about you all, but this is the second week in a row I've actually won a poker tournament. This guy, I know. A couple of weeks ago, I won one on Poker Stars Ontario. This week, I won one on Global.
This is more than a one-person tournament, too?
That's a great question to ask, Chris. Yes, this one actually ran and had several runners in it. I was only one of them. No asterisk. No asterisk for this
You're
one.
branching out, man. You're branching out.
It's like a steps of improvement.
Ask, was there more than one person? Damn it, Chris. You stole my question.
Asterisk free. And actually, I have to thank Dan Kennedy because he's the guy that's been convincing me to go give this global site some action. So I did. I've only played 2 tournaments there. I won one of them. So that's pretty good. I was looking forward to playing Club WPT Gold, but they don't open up in Canada because they're a bunch of cowards, and who knows if they ever will. Good Lord. But so I'm playing on Gold. I'm sure they will. And from what I hear, it's going pretty well down there. Joe Coolis, you were saying you've been playing on Gold for a little while.
There are just exclusive clubs where we would have to only have the top tier people come and play. And so, you know, someday, Jim, we'll let you in. No, I've actually been doing pretty well on Club WT Poker. I mean, I just kind of started it on a lark and played in a couple tournaments, and then I just started playing the cash games. And they're terrible. You shouldn't go there and play them because it's just like, you know, you just can't win any money there. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Well, if folks do go try out Club WPT Gold, I hope you use the code RECP, RECP, to sign up because that helps us out a lot. And I am looking forward to them opening up their games in Canada. It sounds like a soft player pool. No offense to those that are there right now, but from what I hear is where you want to be. And I'm just having my fun up in Poker Stars Ontario and over on Global in the meantime. But it has been a good time. Chris Jones, you've been playing on in real life a little bit recently. Tell me about what you've been getting up to.
Yeah, so I think we'll hear a little bit more about this festival, but another card room, not to be named, on the RecPoker podcast was hosting their Winter Poker Fest this weekend. And although I finished worse than our guests, I did fairly well and made day 2 and ended up getting 14th in that for about 5,000 and spent the entire day 2 at like between 8 and 10 big blinds for almost the whole day. It was just like this, couldn't get anything going, but also just kind of cockroaching and surviving my way through. But even though our guest did better than me, I will say I bluffed him out of a pot. So I won 1 pot and he won 0 against me. So by the transitive properties, I believe it makes me maybe, winner against our guest.
That's science. I don't think anyone can argue with that. That's that's cold, hard science. Good for you.
Does he owe you some money then? Is that how that?
I think so. Doesn't I think so. I think that's how that works.
Okay.
Well, our guest, Dan Kennedy, I'm excited to be talking to him, a longtime RecPoker member and a really fun guy. We've always been jovial at the tables with each other. 5K, that's a pretty good score, Chris. I remember when Dan Kennedy used to think that $5,000 was a pretty cool score, but that was a while ago because he has been on a hell of a heater recently. So we'll be inviting Dan into the room here in just a moment. But yeah, it's been great just getting the chance to play a little more, and whether it's online or live, it's always a great opportunity to be playing this game that we love so much. So we're gonna get Dan in here in just a second. We'll get on with the interview. What has anyone else been up to? Anything interesting at all this week? I know I can't be the only one that's been enjoying playing a little. Lorianne, you said you had nothing at all going on. Rob Washam, you're just living like
I think my
retired.
exact words were, I didn't have a damn thing going on this week. I think that's right. If you're going to quote me, you quote me correctly. No, no, we did our usual date night, but this week it was a date night without poker. So we just kind of enjoyed each other's company this week. So just kind of one of those rare date weeks or date days, as I like to say, that didn't involve any poker.
That's
it was
so
actually
sweet.
Nice. I'm not complaining. It was nice. So.
Yeah, you and hubby. I'm not going to dox him. I don't know if he's a public persona or not. But you guys have such a cute and sweet relationship, and I'm glad that you're always making time for this kind of thing. Rob Washam, you are also so sweet on your wife. It makes me smile every time you talk about your bride. I just think it makes me smile every time you say, "Oh, I'm out with my bride today. Sorry, we can't have our meeting."
Well, me and the bride went and played a little slot tournament at Tropicana in Laughlin last week, and she actually came in the top 25, which means she got paid a little bit of Caesar Rewards money there.
Very nice. The slot tournaments
Tournament. Yeah,
I know we're gonna talk some poker strategy with Dan, but can you kind of take us behind the curtain into a little slot tournament strategy for our listeners?
You got to work on your arm because you have to hit the thing over and over again really fast, as fast as you can, and you have 3 minutes to get as many points as you can. And but basically, the bottom line is the only strategy is to build your arm up and your wrist up so you don't get carpal tunnel, and that's about it.
Probably solid advice there. I've played one, and it will be my first and last ever slot tournament. Last year, it was at M Resort. We got invited. I was just like, okay, this is not for me. It's just like, I know my strengths, and that is not one of them.
Yeah.
So you got to stay limber, a lot of stretching, hydrate.
Yeah.
Joe?
I was just going to say, I think Chris and John and I are going to have to try to either A, make sure our wives don't watch this particular podcast because we apparently don't speak well enough of them, or B, sorry.
Oh, believe me, my wife doesn't ever want to listen to me, so there's no chance she'll be listening to this podcast.
That's awesome. Joe, we did get to chat last week, though, and I have the pleasure of mailing your son a RecPoker pin. Because being great at poker runs in the family over there in the Koulis household, apparently. I just think that's so cool, man. So we got a lot of family stuff going on in the RecPoker panel here. Some of it's poker related and some of it isn't, but that's awesome. That is part of it.
It's interesting. He just started kind of putzing around at some point, or he would grab my on my account and started playing, and he was terrible at first, and he's just gotten better and better. You know, I never help him when he's in hands or anything. He'll ask me, and I'll be like, "No, you got to play that on your own." But he's just kind of learned through it. So I think it's it speaks to the quality of the play that you could improve your play with the home game. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we always, we talk about our home game club here a lot. It's one of the amazing free resources for the recreational poker world that we offer here at RecPoker. John Somsky runs it. We give away prizes. It's free to play, but it's the caliber of play is just so much higher than in most of the play money games out there. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do think it is a fantastic place to come and actually get better at poker, playing against people who are trying to do the same thing for free. So if folks want to go to rec.poker/home game, you can find instructions to join the free play money club there. And like we say, the play money is free, but the prizes are real. So I hope folks do get a chance to come in and give that a try. Now, we're going to be talking to Dan Kennedy in just a second here, but I want to invite our YouTube audience that if you are here live in the chat, not only do you get to type in questions for our guests, but you also get to suggest names for Stake Study Stack. We're going to be playing Stake Study Stack at the end of the show, which is a fun game. We're always looking for people to suggest some names for that. And of course, we're also going to be doing our food bank raffle at the end of the show. And so later on, once we get a little closer to it, I'll remind our folks to start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat, and we'll see who's going to win our fantastic prize. Let's just see if we can actually get Dan here in the panel and start. Oh, I see him. There he is, the one and only Dan freaking Kennedy. Dan, welcome to the RecPoker podcast as a guest. Uh-oh, he might be frozen. He might be frozen. There he is.
That's his trademark.
It's live,
trademark
folks.
poker face. Like,
that's right.
Nothing.
Very stoned.
Nothing. Can read nothing from the man.
All right, here we go. Dan Kennedy, welcome. This is such a pleasure, man. So if folks don't know, so Dan has had a freaking fantastic year in poker. He's had a really amazing last couple weeks. Let's not even get into that for a second, though. I just want to talk like I do with all of our guests. Why don't we start by you sort of defining your own role in the poker world? What would you say is your role in the poker world today?
Asking people their name at the table. That's pretty much my my defining characteristic. I'm just a fish on a heater. I play. Last year I was probably playing once every couple of months live, and it's. I know we've referenced global quite a few times, as we've got a little bit of merchandise here and here. But it started and it is sweeps coins, but I'm going to call it dollars and cents for the ease of guests. You can look up, that stuff on your own. But it all really started with building a bankroll out of a $5 deposit on global in February of last year. And, I've just managed to build that into a roll, which has let me play more and more, at first online. And now, you build it into enough a roll that, you can play 150s on a regular and get a couple good scores, and you can take some shots in the, in the bigger ones live, bigger ones being local to Minnesota. I'm not playing 5Ks and 10Ks or anything. The biggest tournament I've entered was $800. So, yeah.
No, it's amazing, man. You've had some fantastic successes. We're going to talk about some of those successes in a moment. But first, we used to do a segment called Closing the Action, and regular listeners will know. And we decided we're going to bump that up to the front of the show. You're our guinea pig, Dan, for this new segment that we're calling Opening the Action. All right. So we are going to fire some rapid fire questions at you. I want to know the first answer that comes into your mind. It has to be quick and it has to be honest, but those are the only requirements. You can say pass as well, okay?
Sounds good.
Let's get started with Opening the Action with Dan Kennedy. So the first question, start the timer, invisible producer Rob. We've got 2 minutes, Daniel. Let's see what we can do. What is your favorite poker hand?
Pocket aces now, but it very much used to be pocket fives.
Fair enough. Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
Both.
I like that. What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
Rude people at the table.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I've never watched it all the way through.
That's great. Is Ace King a drawing hand?
It sure is.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? You knew it was.
Yes.
What's one thing you're afraid of?
Letting down my family.
Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Both.
What's one thing that if you had it would make you truly happy?
Nothing.
What's your favorite brick and mortar poker venue? Your favorite card room?
Running Aces.
We love that answer here on the show. Beautiful. Well done. No coaching involved in that answer.
No.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes, but with jalapeno is very key.
Oh, all right. I like that. There you go. This is a fun one. How do you grapple with the concept of your own mortality?
I don't think about it. I drink and play poker.
Who's one player that you respect?
Taylor Moss.
Yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Slow down.
Getting to the end of the tournament, are you pro chop or no chop?
No chop, unless it's life-changing money.
Going back to when you were a kid, what was your favorite childhood family holiday meal?
Lasagna.
All right, there we go. That's our 2 minutes. That's very well done. We're going to do a point breakdown a little later in the show once our we've got solvers set up using a brand new algorithm to go see. We've got a bunch of AI working on that. It takes 3 different CPUs to run the program that determines what the scores are. So we're just going to let some time pass, let the operation run a bit.
I
and we'll get
respect
back
you
to
not using the solver at the same time. I really respect your game on that, Jim.
Well, actually, yeah. What we like to do is take a break in between questions and then use the solver to like analyze their spot that we were in. Then we get back to the questions afterwards. So that's, from what I understand, that's perfectly allowed.
Yeah.
Dan, you're a recreational player. You've talked about it. I'll dispute that you're a fish on a heater. I've known you in the poker world for several years. We've played together. You've got great poker instincts, and you definitely know what you're doing at the table. Over the last couple of weeks, you've had over $70,000 in tournament winnings. You're the first ever recipient of the RecPoker Gold Pin. But you've had lots of other successes, even when you're not playing with Taylor Moss as your tag team partner. What do you credit? Like, do you feel like you've always been a good player, and do you really feel like you've just gotten lucky in the last little while, or do you feel like you've progressed as a player over the years and you're improving and getting better, and like what do you credit your recent successes with?
So I study, but I don't study as much as I should. I don't study to the level that I know that I'm capable of. I know that I could do a lot more. I alluded to this on a post on Twitter. It was just that, if I ever learn anything about this game, y'all are in trouble. Because I do a lot of passive study. I have a full-time job. I'm a manager, so I'm working usually more than 40 hours a week. I've got 2 young kids, 5 and 3, and a wife. And I'm never a big school guy. I always preferred playing to learning. But I do love learning about the game, and I've got an hour commute. So I've listened to a lot of podcasts on the way down, the occasional reading, listening to varied people talk about the game and seeing different approaches is huge. What my favorite times on the RecPoker podcast is hearing Kim and Chris fight. Especially because I didn't know anything about Kim when she joined, and she's bringing in solvers into all of this. And while I understand the concepts, of why one would want to study GTO, it was so much of the I'm playing the 150 at Canterbury, I'm playing the 140 at Running Aces. The 80-year-old man across from me does not have a 3-bet bluffing range. But I mean, one of the things that I very much got wrong is, hearing, watching, things evolve from the moneymaker area of where I started, smaller opening raise sizes, when, talking about 30% flop bets and just laughing at the concept that anybody would fold to that. And then you start trying it and you're just like, all right, I'm an idiot. And, you follow enough people in poker, you pick up some. I don't know if anybody here follows this guy called Rob Gardner on YouTube, but he has a lot of good mindset coaching. And it's talking about, your poker hero should be the people that are just better than you. and while I may disagree with him on them being your heroes, those are the people you should be looking up to. Who are the people that are crushing the $140 and the $150 tournaments that you're playing in? Do I need to learn, from who's a high stakes person that I don't hate? Pick your favorite random person, a Doug Polk or something like that. And the game that he plays doesn't matter for the games that I'm playing at $3 to $11 on global. I've recently started expanding those higher, but learn who you're playing against. Use the tags that you have. I'm not as good as tagging players as even a Jim Reid is, but I've got some people on Clubs Poker, which is another sweepstakes coin site, where I was literally 4-betting this guy for value pre-flop with King 6 suited because he calls with literally everything. It's like, if he's going to do that, King 6 suited is value, and I'm going for it. I don't care. I'm not waiting for a premium hand versus him because I don't need to, and he's going to give 4 or 5 buy-ins in before rebuys are done. And I want all of them because I'm greedy. But yeah, learning those small things. And then, Faraz Jaka is another one that I love seeing his Twitter posts on the mindset of so many recreational players of, I can't overbet because I'm not going to get value, but also everybody in my player pool calls all the time. Which one is it? Like, you're finding monsters under the bed when you have value and monsters under the bed when you're bluffing. So you're just you're always taking that compromise route. And this podcast has talked about it a ton. You don't call just because you don't know whether or not to raise or fold. And I still have to get this out of my mindset of picking these half and 3/4 pot sizings when I'm against players that I respect. When it's against players I don't respect, I got no problem going 150% pot. But this guy will clearly see this as a polarized sizing, so I need to make this a value looking sizing. No, you don't. He still has to protect his chips. There's on the during the main event at Canterbury at Winter Poker Fest. There's a guy who came up to me at the main event because we played a hand in the bounty and he wanted to know what I had. And I put him to the test with ace high on a king queen on a board with king queen jack on it because it felt like he had one pair and he didn't want to go bust there. He had one pair. Now he was thinking about calling me down with sevens because he's played with me for a hand or two already. But if you're scared to pull that third bullet, then you're maybe you don't always need to bluff the turn if you're not willing to bluff the river. Let every decision be changed. But I think just listening to a lot of these people, passively studying, listening to podcasts, if you're on the treadmill, fire up an inside of the mind of a pro, watch some videos like that, learn from people that are better than you, and especially with inside of the mind of a pro, that's a thing where I normally watch things sped up. So like when I hear this intro music on Rec Poker, it sounds so slow because I listen to it at 1.6. And so hearing it live, it's just like, why is this so wrong? But inside the mind of the pro, I listen to it at 1.0 so I can say, this is what I'm going to do and see if it lines up or not. And yeah, there's people that are far better than me that I'm like, no, that's a terrible bet. Like, what are you doing here? What are you getting value from? What is folding? Yeah. So those are some of the things that I've done over the last year, but volume has been key. When you're playing 4 tournaments a year, we talk about variance all the time.
Yeah,
I've had over 70. I've had 75,000 summon cashes this year. I've played 28 bullets. I've cashed 3 of them. I've just final tabled all 3 of them.
Right.
2 wins. So there's a big difference.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, volume matters, and especially for recreational players, it's very rare that we actually meet, the volume demands that to take variance out of it. But I'm really glad to hear that. I'll remind our YouTube chatters, if I've got any questions for Dan, put them in. I see a couple already that we'll get to in just a little bit here. We got a comment from a couple of our Wrecking Crew members. Chris Jones here saying, "What a boss, just switching swag one hats through the interview." Yeah, Dan has a lot of global merch that you might see cycled through if you're familiar with Dan at all, or if you play at Running Aces at all. And a really nice comment here.
Talking about.
Yeah, there's the third. Really nice comment, uncharacteristically kind comment actually from Taylor Moss, saying that Dan's one of the good guys out there in poker. Easy to cheer for him because he's the first one to be on your rail cheering you on. And congrats on the recent success. Yeah, I can speak to that too, Dan. It's always a pleasure playing with you, and you're a very good sport, and you're a very good, enthusiastic, player and friend, and you've been on a lot of great rails, so you're doing that right. We got a question from John Somsky next.
Yeah, Dan. So you're one of the almost an OG member of Rec.Poker. You've been around here for a long time. What drew you to Rec.Poker, and what do you get out of being part of Rec.Poker?
Rob Washam brought me to Rec.Poker.
Hey, I know that guy.
We worked together for a couple of years, and I don't even know how it got brought up. I couldn't tell you the what happened with it, but he might have been wearing a shirt or something. But it came up, and we started talking hands and talking about 3-betting with suited connectors to find your spots, and who's this old man coffee telling me to 3-bet with 6-5 suited. But it brought me in, and I mean the reason I say is it's helped me get better. You get to talk with not guys like Rob, but good players like Chris Jones. And
thanks a lot, Dan.
In all honesty, it's being able to talk with people. When I first started listening to RecPoker, it was all recreational people on the podcast, and you get to hear. I mean, I felt like the differences there were, you had a lot of moneymaker mindset still, and people that had shifted past that. And getting to hear where people are still at, is something that it's very fun because groupthink is an extremely powerful factor in life, very much so in poker. During the tag team event at the Winter Poker Classic that Taylor and I regrettably did not cash, there's a guy to my right that was just saying, I can't believe that this guy's, I can't, what's his raise sizing? I was like, you're 20 years old, wondering why the 74-year-old man is raising to 3.5x? Like, sub 3 big blind raises haven't been a thing all that long. Like, you're just haven't been around all that long. And if you think that, this guy's going home and, studying charts, between going to the Legion, like, come on, like, get with it. You calling yourself a studied player and you're not realizing the exploits. I think one of the beautiful things about GTO that I don't study is node locking. And the number of people that feel that GTO and exploitative play are at odds with each other, when it's like exploitative is just node locking your GTO. That's how you get the best of both worlds, And if you're as good as me, you'll ignore all of those for the lulls sometimes and, punt off a 30-year stack at a final table for $80,000.
Rob Washam, do you remember, was it a shirt? What caused you to go talk to Dan first there the first time?
I'm not sure if it was maybe a result somewhere that was posted. I might have seen his name on a post on a result at Running Aces or Canterbury. So I'm not really sure.
So it wasn't he works in HR and there was some problem that he had to bring you in about talking about poker. Just making sure.
Yeah, Rob, it's about your extracurricular activity.
No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with work. It had nothing to do with somehow I don't know if he heard me on the Rec Poker podcast because he happened to catch it, or somehow he got my name somewhere, and he approached me and he said, "Hey, you play poker?" I said, "Oh yeah, I play." Or it could have been the other way around. I saw his name somewhere. I said, "Oh, Daniel, you play poker?" And then we started. Of course, when you find another soul that enjoys something that you enjoy so much, it just automatically brings you together and you start talking.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of the things, I meet with all our premium members one-on-one to help them sort of walk them through the site and figure out how we can best help them achieve their poker goals. And when I ask folks, like, why did you join Rec Poker? That's the number one answer, is that I've got great friends. I love my friends, but my friends aren't big into poker, and I can't have like meaningful strategic conversations with them. But I want to have those conversations. So like, that's what Rec Poker is to a lot of people. I think that kind of, that outlet for that, because it is hard. It is hard to have people that are both good at poker, you like their company, and they're in your life. Like, that's a big three. That's hard to hit. That's hard to hit those three. Lorianne, I think you had something.
Hey there, I do. And it's kind of a serious question, so I'm going to take it a little bit. Sorry about that. But we're basically 30 minutes into the live broadcast, and you've changed hats 5 times so far. How many more hat changes can we expect before the end of this broadcast?
How long does the broadcast go?
How many hats you got?
My Grizzly merch hasn't arrived yet. So, I mean, if it shows up during this, we might have another one. But
that's so funny.
It's like you're hosting
an money left.
No, yeah, where the host keeps changing an outfit every time they come back out. Like I said, I come with the serious, hard hitting.
That's right.
So,
Yeah. That's Lorianne's our investigative journalist here.
So back to Jim. No.
Chris Jones, you had something, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I was just
there it is.
Grabbing into the chat there too. So Dan, I know that one of the things that you and I have talked a little about is you've long been a player, kind of recreational player, and I think this is something that maybe recreational players might be really interested in learning a little bit about. I think, was it this year, last year, you made a kind of a conscious decision to try to really think about moving from budget to bankroll and moving sort of like figuring out how you could do that and sort of move, and you've kind of like really moved up in sort of stakes by sort of getting yourself a plan and sort of following through with it. How did you start that process out, and how did you kind of come up with how you were going to start to sort of transition from having a budget to a bankroll?
Yeah, well, I mean, it started with so I didn't trust this whole global poker site with this whole sweeps coin thing, but they had like a $5 get 20 sweeps thing. It's like, whatever. I've been scammed out of way more than $5 before in my life. Let's try it out. First tournament I'm playing on the site, I think a guy's super using because he's calling all in and hitting backdoor 2-pair. And, it's like, who's super using at a, $1 or $3 tournament? Like, you kidding me? Like, what a rigged site. And then it wasn't knocked out, but, playing later and, 6 levels later or so, you see him call all in with 150 big blinds for a gut shot. Here it goes. And it doesn't come in. Like, oh, he's just awful. Okay, like, got it. So, they gave, we ran the bankroll up. I forget, it was $30 to $50. I take, we're playing, $1 to $5 tournaments, and I just take some nasty beat, some 5-out or less for significant portion of the tournament, and I just get tilted. And I decide to fire up PLO8 cash because, that's what you do when you're in a nice, healthy mindset, and put, the rest of the bankroll on the table, keep reloading and busting, and it's like somewhere between 30 and 40 cents is left in my account. I'm pissed. I'm going to go and, redeposit. And, I say to myself, Dan, you're being a petulant child, grind a bankroll for once in your damn life. So I cannot play any cash with 30 cents. There is no stakes at Global that will let you play that. But they do have 25 cents sit and goes, especially their jumpstart sit and goes, which is 6 max, 3 players get paid. So it is a grind. I started grinding those for a while in March. So I've played I will not move beyond quarter sit and goes until I have 20 buy-ins for 50 cent sit and goes. And then 20 buy-ins for $1 sit and goes. And then, all right, I've got 20 for, $1 sit and goes, but I'm going to let myself play the $1 tournaments occasionally. So, I win a couple of crazy pineapple tournaments in March and in May. And one of the fantastic things, and I sound like a total shill for Global, but it's helped me build a bankroll, so I don't care if I do. Their home game that they have is password protected in their Twitch chat. So I would just go in, grab, I don't care who these people are. I'm gonna grab the password, enter it because it was a $3 tournament. And I was still just playing 20 buy-ins. Was required for MTTs, which is, I'd heard is fine for rec players. You're willing to reload. And they did all these giveaways. And I didn't know about it because I was never in their Twitch chat. And then I get a message on the table that, you've got to, you have to go claim your prize on Twitch. And what the heck are they talking about? I had knocked out some player. They had enough people that they had a $33 mystery, $33 tournament entry on a mystery bounty.
Nice.
You knock this person out. Hey, I got to play a $33 tournament. Cool. Way above my $3 tournaments that I'm playing, maybe 5 at this point. And ended up taking 3rd in a 6 max tournament. And that was for 2.1 thousand, So at that point, it was like, well, all right, I think we can move beyond the 20. I think we're going to move to 100, 100 buy-ins to, be stable. Their next series was the Maverick series. I had took 2nd in one of those for 1.1 thousand. The Eagle was my coming out party. I had 2 titles, 4 final tables. My high stakes win was 6.6 thousand in a 6 max. Their Ante Up tournaments, I took 3rd in the high roller, 1st in the medium stakes, for a combined 3.3 thousand. And then in doing so, won a $10,000 package to go play in the Global Poker Champions this upcoming summer. So they've given me $5,000 of that in advance to get my travel in line, and then $5,000 when I get there. And yeah, I mean, it's been sun running of being willing to play that bankroll, play the 100, play the 100x rule. When I got to 3,000 or whatever, all right, now, or 3,000, now I can play 33s. Got to 5,000, I can play 55s. The 99s has been up and down for me. I got to I got to 9,000. Then you get under 8,000, you have to say, all right, those are out. And I think I'm a nit. I go and I claim my daily claim on 4 different sites on the Sweeps Coin variety. I take advantage of every deposit bonus that's there, because I don't want to. While I'm doing a lot better than I have in previous years, I'm not a pro. I don't think my level is above many people. If you go and look at my shark scope, like the skill levels, in the low 80s, that's not, Taylor Moss level, numbers here.
No, we're not gonna let this descend into like a Taylor Moss love fest. I know you guys are buddies.
He's my quarterback.
No, I know, but like, just consider your audience here, okay? He's a villain and he's great at poker, but like, let's not get carried away. Now, first of all, kudos, dude. Like, that is so impressive to actually literally take that 30 cents and grind that up and be disciplined about bankroll management, and to play the the soft games, the the game selection. You know, people, I always tell people, like, the two most important skills as a player are game selection and bankroll management. And, you know, you're bringing that in beautifully. So my hat's off to you for that discipline, and to be able to have that goal of segregating, you know, your poker budget into a poker bankroll. And I don't think that's like required for recreational players, but I think it sure I mean, I do the same thing. It does make my life a lot easier. And you never have to worry about spending that, you know, mortgage money at the tables, and you can always afford to go play when you want to. But just kudos to you, man. I'm really, really impressed with that. And you had a plan, you've stuck with it, and you're having great results. The only other thing I want to say, you've talked about being on a heater a couple times here, but like, luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. And you have been putting in the time, and I know you have been studying, and you know, you've been an active member here at RecPoker, like we were saying here, for years. And so you're a humble guy when it comes to this kind of stuff. But honestly, like, congratulations, you wear it well. You've earned this, and we're all proud of you, and we're all really excited for you. This is amazing stuff that you've been doing.
Thank you.
Joe Coolis, did you have something you wanted to jump in there with?
Yeah, so lots of people talk about grinding stuff up, right, and playing lower stakes, and you're clearly somebody who has thought a lot about the game and thinks about theory and the like. How do you deal with the boredom? Because when you're playing those low stakes, when you're playing against bad competition, it isn't always all that hard, right? I mean, you can kind of figure in, if you wait long enough, you'll take it. So how do you manage that boredom that comes along with it?
I don't know, man. I love the game. It's something I've been playing, you know, Hold'em since, I don't know, Moneymaker, so 2003, 2004. You know, played 5-card draw growing up. The only time that I'm ever really bored is if I'm grinding a series because I'm chasing leaderboard points on global, and I've been up too many days in a row and I got to go to sleep. I'm not bored at the table. I truly do love the game. It's winning really takes, any boredom you may have. You know, I do multi-table. I did have to dial it back because I was realizing that the amount of tables that I can play and the amount of tables I can play profitably at a time are two very different things. Not timing out is not my goal. My goal is to make money, win merch, all other things considered. It's so I try to keep it to 4. During the series on global, I will break those rules. And then there's a couple other tournaments throughout the internet that I find quite soft that I'll fire up a 5th one for, not to, call out some of the populations, but some websites where even the medium stakes, I would say, are even softer than the small stakes. I don't play much on ACR because their late reg is not congruent with the lifestyle of a guy that puts his kids to bed and then comes downstairs to play for 3 hours, and before he has to go to bed to get up for work in the morning. I know plenty of people love that website. They love the huge player pools. They love that the prize money is great and good for them. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. But I like a tournament to be over in 2-3 hours on a work night. Saturday, Sunday, if my wife signed up to watch the kids, fantastic. But boredom, fire up another table if I'm bored. As long as my mind's actively engaged, I'm good. I don't care if I just have to hit 30%, 75% pot, and just keep doing that. Like, if it works, it works, and I'll happily take that to the bank.
Fair enough. So then, how do you manage? So when you have small children, they don't always exactly follow schedules for tournaments for time, and
correct.
Child care can certainly become an issue if you're away for an entire weekend of things. So how are you managing that?
I have a wife that is more supportive of me than I would ever think somebody should be. Whenever I have a score of over $1,000 now, she gets $100 for every one of them. I even like to make a little joke out of it for the people at the tables. When we, this past week in the main event, I think there was a ladder of like $400, and $400 buys stuff, but an $800 tournament, most of the guys that you're playing with do not care. And about a ladder, and I just say, "Oh, my wife laddered." Well, we went from 2,600 to 3,000. My wife just got another $100. And when you have a couple of the big scores, God, she doesn't mind watching the kids as much for 2 days. When you have a $40,000 score last week, and you say, you know what, like 4,000 doesn't sound as cool as 5 does. I think just giving you 5 is cooler. So yeah, I do miss out on some things with my kids. Part of the things that one of the things that I do every time I have a score of over 1,000 as well is take a month off the mortgage. In principal alone, I'm not paying the full, full mortgage payment, but for my house or for my mortgage, it's between $300 and $405 to take a month off. And my goal for that, because I know some people are like, well, you should invest more with that. And I was like, I want to be done with my mortgage by the time my son graduates high school, so that if he chooses to have secondary education, I have more money for that. I've got that monthly flexibility. So I think that's something I'm doing a little bit for my kids in the future. I try to do a lot with them while I'm here, and I can afford more expensive Lego sets for my son, as he is a very, very, very smart 5-year-old that he did a 1,600 piece Lego puzzle for Christmas, and it didn't take him. It took him a while, but you give him the small ones now for his age group, and he almost loses interest because it's too. There's not enough. There's only one bag. What am I going to do with this?
That's awesome. Well, and I know you talk frequently. Because we talk a lot, and you often talk about the role that your family plays in your life and the priority that you place on time with your kids, and how grateful you are to have the supportive wife at home. And so it's I really want to emphasize to our listeners, like, it takes that kind of support network, that kind of encouragement to go off and fire and put volume in it, and take the time away for a hobby like this. And yeah, it sure helps when you're bringing home the bacon. That's nice. But I know, like, they've been in your corner for a long time, even when you weren't racking up 5-figure scores on the regular.
100%. And 5-figure scores. My first one was last weekend, and then my second one was this weekend.
You've set expectations a little high at this point, I guess.
For me. But yeah, for me, it's very important to have my wife in my corner. I think she even gets annoyed at me sometimes, where she's like, so you wanted to play the main this weekend? I was like, if you feel good. I've played a lot, for about the last 3 weeks. I was grinding the Grizzly series for a while on Global. Then I played the tag team with Taylor. I had 2 day ones of the Mystery Bounty. Then, the day 2 of the Mystery Bounty. I was just like, if you don't feel like you're up for it on Saturday morning, I am not playing that until Saturday morning you decide you're in. And she just, I think she was annoyed that, the 4th time I'm asking, was like, I don't want you to hate this. Like, if you hate this, it's not going to feel good for me. I'd rather go play on Global for, $11 tournaments tonight after the kids go to bed than have you be pissed that I was gone. And, especially if I was in for 3 bullets, lost $2,400 and was gone for 8 hours and busted 3 from the money.
Right.
That's very much a possibility of happening. So, you got to make sure that they're going to be in your corner, right, wrong, or indifferent. So,
yeah, I remember some great advice I got when I started playing more seriously back in the day, when I had more pepper and less salt in the beard here. The advice was, when you win, buy your wife some flowers. And when you lose, buy your wife some flowers. You want to have that sort of like positive reinforcement related to your playing. And so congratulations, man. You're killing it. You've got a great life. Great poker skills, many hats, apparently, as we're seeing. So congratulations on all of that. All right, folks, if you're in the YouTube chat, get those questions in. And again, I just want to remind folks that we are going to do a raffle at the end of the show to give away a fantastic prize. It's going to help benefit a local food bank. And if you like supporting food banks, you can make a donation right through the YouTube chat here, either as a super chat, a super sticky, or a super comment. We appreciate those donations here at RecPoker. We need all the help we can get around here, and we share a portion of those donations with a local food bank as well. And if you're looking for other ways to support what we're doing here at RecPoker, you can go to rec.poker/support, and you can find some ways to help us out either financially or without spending a dime, just by helping out with some of our efforts here and there. So I do hope that you go and check that out. Dan, that might be my favorite. I think that's my favorite of the hats so far. That's going to be hard to beat.
This is the final hat. They sent a couple fitted ones, and my big dome dude does not do well with the one hat.
So just for those, given that this is an audio podcast, can you describe what this hat is?
I believe this is called a toque, but I think Jim would probably know better if that's correct.
Well, we pronounce them toque, but that was very close. It does look like toque, and I think toques don't necessarily have those amazing ear flaps that are really impressive.
It's got the pom-pom on top.
It does.
And then imagine, a beanie with about probably 2 inches too much material, and then ear flaps with pom-poms on the bottom that, go under a double chin. So,
Yes. And don't forget the deer and the hearts.
Yeah, there's hearts between those deer, right?
Yeah, and I think the X's and O's are kisses and hugs. So, and those are definitely reindeer. I don't know if that's clear.
This is from the 25 Days of Poker series on Global during December. I don't know if anybody knows this. Taylor Moss took second in the sweeps coin version of that for $24,000.
There's a lot of holiday mishmash going on in that hat that really just doesn't really go well with each other. So
Taylor needs to learn how to close, because I won the gold coin version of it.
Yeah, I agree. And that hat you could probably sell for more than 24,000. I think.
Probably.
Oh yeah, think about it. Eric Ebsen in the YouTube chat says it's a bomber hat. That makes sense. Yes, that is what it looks like, a bomber hat. But this one, I mean, it's very, very fleecy and looks very warm. Good for you.
It's an extremely warm hat. I wore it out when it was like negative 20 snow blowing, and I was sweating.
As9 Bovine says that he thought we were supposed to tell our wives, we were supposed to buy flowers for our wives, whether we win or lose, so that they think we're always winning. I mean, you do you. Everyone has their own. This isn't the RecPoker marital advice podcast yet, but no, yeah, that's always been my one on that. And we did get a couple questions in here. One of them is from Type Login, asking about the hand that Chris Jones bluffed Daniel Kennedy off. Is that one that Chris, can you share some details about that?
I mean, it's not a very exciting hand. I mean, like, Daniel opened, I 3-bet bluffed him, and he folded 1-0.
Oh man.
By my recollection.
I think I just had King Jack on that hand, and
I had King 7 of hearts.
Can you do it in slow motion now? Slow motion would be great. Yeah.
Can we? I want to hear Chariots of Fire in the background while we.
To be fair, I think I even quoted to Chris that I think Chris was coaching Jim on an episode that or maybe it was Jim coaching Chris, that he doesn't fold enough to 3-bets.
Yeah, well,
one way or the other.
I tell everyone to fold to my 3-bets, so then they fold to my 3-bets. It's good.
Fair enough.
It's
the long con.
Yeah, that's right. We're planting the seeds. We're planting trees today that will rest under the shade of tomorrow. Lorianne, jump in.
Yes, Jim. Okay. Hey. Uh-oh.
There, he's back.
We're back to. I don't know if that counts. I was gonna say, I don't think that one counts as hat number 8, because we've seen that one already. Correct? Okay. So we're stuck on 7. Do have a question though. It's kind of a 2-part question, and the first part is: are you coming to Las Vegas this summer? And if so, will it be just for the WSOP, or do you plan on playing other series events around town?
So I'm coming out for the Global Poker Championship, which is to be determined on when it is. They're telling me sometime late June. So I'll be playing, I looked at the schedule. There's plenty of 500 to 1500s in that time frame of late June. So I'll be playing a few there. I played at a 400 at the Orleans last summer, which, everybody can crap on the Orleans all they want. They have comfy chairs. And I appreciate a comfortable chair. So I'll be seeing what's out there now that I actually have a bankroll and not just this is my vacation money. It's definitely changing things. So as long as I don't blow, through a very nice sizable bankroll, between now and then, I'll be out there for a little bit. Resorts World also had very comfortable chairs, and I liked their daily. But
now that one I back you up on. Orleans, you got the comfortable chairs if you were inside the poker room. If you're out in the tournament area, those are the regular temporary chairs, not quite as comfortable as the leather-bound chairs inside the poker room. But Resorts World, absolutely comfortable chairs. Agree with you on that.
Interesting. When I played there, closer to the wall, I'm assuming would be the poker room.
Inside the poker room.
That's where the tournament was playing, and the cash was playing outside.
Were you really
something?
Were you really giving Rob Washam a hard time about being an old man coffee, and now you're saying that you go to a poker room because of the chair? How old are you?
39, but I've got enough weight on me that my joints are 50.
Comfy chair. I like this poker. I don't care what the cards come.
You'd be surprised.
Have to sit in the chairs for a while, Joe.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's funny. I do talk to a lot of players about like what makes for a good poker room, and the chairs are usually on the list. How comfortable are the chairs is usually one of the things they talk about, like not having a high rake, having professional dealers, having a well-run room. But chairs is in that like top 3 every single time. It matters. It does matter. All right, folks, last chance to get questions in the YouTube chat here for Dan. We're going to wrap up the interview in just a few minutes. I just want to remind folks, if you enjoy podcasts, and it sounds like you do, you might want to head over to our Patreon page. For $10 a month, you can subscribe and get audio versions of almost all of our training videos that we do here in our premium membership at RecPoker. We make almost all of them available in audio format, downloadable right to your phone every month. So if you go to Patreon and check out RecPoker for $10 a month, that's a great way to support the show and to get better at poker while you are doing it. I think you should start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat, because we're almost at the end of the interview here. And I just want to remind folks that we ask you to type the words food bank into the YouTube chat just to help raise awareness for the fight against food insecurity. That's an ever-present issue in our society. And if you pull out your smartphone and just Google food banks near me, you'll find a fantastic organization that can benefit from a few dollars out of your pocket, a few volunteer hours out of your week, or some non-perishable food items from your pantry. And I'd encourage folks to do that and support your local food banks and help some folks to put food in their stomachs. It's never a bad decision to help a hungry person. Rob Washam, we're going to give away a fantastic prize at the end of the show here, and you're the RecPoker Santa, and it's not just because of that awesome white beard you've got. Why don't you tell our audience what the prize is this week?
Well, today's prize, or this week's prize, is a free month of RecPoker Premium. Now, if you're already a RecPoker Premium member, you can choose from one of our learning partners. But in the meantime, I want to mention that the wait is over, because tomorrow at 8 p.m., Marek Madness begins.
Oh, yeah.
How exciting is that? 16
That's
players comprised of RECing Crew members and community members will take part in a heads-up bracket tournament. You can watch the matches on our YouTube channel starting tomorrow, the YouTube channel that you're watching right now, RecPoker Community. Today's the last day to get your bracket filled out. Actually, you can get them filled out right before it starts tomorrow. So you need to go to bracket.rec.poker to make your picks and then post them in our Marek Madness predictions thread on the RecPoker Discord server. The member with the most correct predictions will win a fantastic prize. So get those picks in. You only got less than 24 hours. Get them in.
That's it. Yeah, this is your favorite person in the whole world, Dan. Taylor Moss runs our Marek Madness. He's been doing it for years. It's super fun. It's a fantastic heads up bracket style tournament that we do every year. And yeah, this Tuesday, the end of February, and every Tuesday in March at 9:00 Eastern on the YouTube channel, there will be prizes given out throughout the broadcast for guessing people's bust out cards. And if you go to bracket.rec.poker, you can fill out your own prediction and win a prize that way as well. So that's going to be super fun. Thanks, Rob. I love that. And thanks, Eric Ebson. Eric, a $10 super chat. That's fantastic. What a guy. We're going to share a portion of that with a local food bank, and we really appreciate your support, Eric. You've been a great friend of RecPoker for a long time, so way to go. All right, now let's talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about strategy here, Dan. So you've obviously improved as a player. You've you've ascended. You've learned lessons. You've stopped making some mistakes. What are some of the mistakes that you used to make as a player that you've eliminated from your game?
I was gonna say one, but that's completely wrong. I think it's I think some people are overconfident in their ability to hide their own tells. For me, neck pulse is one that is absolutely huge. I have moved to trying to wear, as you can see from the gorgeous photo of me that was posted to Twitter, I have moved towards a crew neck sweatshirt so that I can pull it up like this because I can feel it going nuts. And I know I've seen it on others. I believe wearing loose fitting clothing is extremely important at the poker table, especially if you're a guy like me who may have a belly. I watched a guy's, I could see his heartbeat in his stomach, and I didn't know that was an area you could catch a tell on a guy. I've seen it on arms before. If you wear a wearable device where that tracks your heart rate, you may want to shut that off. It's now that it can be it can be one or the other. It doesn't have to mean that it's bluff. It doesn't have to mean that it's value. But you can see that it's not a medium strength hand, and you get to help it make that decision. I have 3-bet more with marginal holdings versus calling. Hands that you're like, oh, I wanted to open this hand, but somebody else did. So when I was getting towards being, moving from just being a calling station, to folding those hands. And now it's all right, ace 10 offsuit. I'm a 3-bet it here. I 3-bet ace 10 offsuit at the main event for, the Winter Poker Fest 5-6 times on day 2. And I don't think I went to a flop. I didn't. I did get 4-bet once and had to lay it down. But you're picking up pots, especially, at the final table even, and 3-betting fantastic players like Ian Matakis, with ace 10 offsuit, and getting the fold. And now granted, he's opening wider because there's people like me at the table, but it's being able to not just say I'm going to take these hands and compromise. You need to be able to be tighter, and I really think that too many people, once they get a little better, is they try to be so unexploitable that they're not taking advantage of others. If the guy only calls when he has a medium strength hand and raises when he has a premium hand, don't just call behind because you have a calling hand. Raise it up, and don't make it 2.5. Make it 3 or 4. If you don't want him to call, and widen your range. If you're going to play, and then being and adjusting to formats, I think is very, very, critical. If yes, I've got 20 big blinds, but if you're playing a hyper turbo, like 20 big blinds at the main for Winter Poker Fest, I was grinding 20 big blinds most of the day. 20 big blinds when you're going up blinds every 5 minutes, you may not see that hand again before the blinds go up another 3 times. So you got to be willing to take those opportunities when they're there. Mystery bounties, PKOs, people really need to be able to change their ranges for those. I know I got some real funny looks because I had a monster stack after scoring a triple knockout in the first table of the day. And yeah, somebody with 6 big blinds is going in. I'm raising it up to 12 with any 2 suited cards because all of these other middling stacks are scared. There's a $10,000 mystery bounty out there and 2 4,500s. I'll risk 10 of my 90 big blinds to see if I can hit a flush. And you'll see other people just giving you. Yeah, with 20 big blinds, it doesn't make sense for you to do that. With 90, it does. I can afford that risk. And so I think people are willing to play the events they can afford and aren't always willing to adjust to the format or their competition. There's some fields that are very different from each other on different websites or different live locations. And you need to be willing to say, yeah, I don't ever need to see bet at this location in this buy-in of tournament, because if they have a pair they're calling, it's not because they think their pair's better than yours. It's I have a pair, so I get a call into the river. Doesn't matter if you overbet, because what is an overbet? Adjust to your competition. Play, get your brain to play on their level to exploit them and not exploit yourself by playing unexploitable. If they're calling every time, don't bet 30%. Bet 150% of the pot and get them to call with 1 pair with your overpair.
Yeah, I love that.
Don't set yourself up for failure. Faraz Jaka talked about, pros have the same number of bad beats as Recs do, but we make more chips when we have it and we lose less chips when we're behind. And being able to really reach into those spots. Things that I've loved doing recently is if you think you can't, if it's a hand you need to check because you can't take a check raise on the river, and you don't know any hand that they have this way that could call with value, bet 1 big blind, bet 2 big blinds into pots of 30, 32. I'm getting calls from jack high sometimes because it's just like the way they have this, I don't see they have anything but a busted draw, but I've got 2 pair. There's a flush out there, but they don't have that. What do I do? And just betting 1, 1.5, 2, and watch them like into 30 call. It's just like, and you take those extra chips so that if you have a cooler, you can take the cooler, and you can keep building. So I think those are some of the changes that, if you want to get better, and I don't think everybody needs to try to get better. If you want to be a hobby player, do what makes things fun for you. People ask me what my plan for the money is, and most of the time it's just go to the bankroll and give money to my wife or pay off the mortgage, because buying stuff doesn't really make me happy.
Well, and you're getting enough poker stuff already from all your gold coins wins. That's like, good Lord, you're gonna have to start going. You're gonna start buying stock in IKEA. Yeah, exactly. Just like you're gonna need some wardrobes. You're gonna need some like stand-up areas to go save all these shirts and hats and trophies and stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a big video game guy. I'm not a car guy. I'm not an electronics guy. Buying stuff isn't going to make me happy. So, if that's not going to, building a role and being able to play events with 30 and 40-minute levels as opposed to 15 and 20, it's a lot different.
It is.
And being able to, when you talk about, you suffer these beats and, you just feel like you can never build a stack. Sometimes it's because you're playing, Rob probably knows back in the day when you go play a $30 or $50 over at Running Aces, sitting with a starting stack at 8,000 and 10-minute blind levels. Like, it doesn't give you much play. And they're not getting much rake. They may be getting a high percentage of rake on a very low buy-in tournament, but it's not a lot of dollars. They're hoping you're going to go play blackjack. So, you need to, sometimes if you don't play the $80 tournament once a month, maybe save up and play the $150 every other, if you're playing from a budget perspective, but do what you're best at. If you don't like playing a lot of pots, don't play 6 max tournaments just because you can afford them. I don't
like
think
that.
I'm all that, I didn't think I was all that great at 6-max. When I look at a lot of my bigger results are in 6-max tournaments. It's probably because I'm not a patient player. You don't have to trim off a lot of your range if you just play with less players.
That's awesome. I want you to know that not every guest makes this honor, but you have. My mom has typed into the YouTube chat, "Hey, Jim, your guest Daniel seems to be such a nice, down-to-earth guy." Aw, you charmer. How about that? Yeah. Lorianne, you had one question before we wrap up this interview, I think.
Oh, yes. Hey there. This is going back to opening the action. So we got to go back a little bit. I was just curious. You said when it was asked your favorite poker hand, you said it was pocket fives, but now it's pocket aces. Is there a story behind that?
Great question.
Is there a good story behind
I can
that?
answer this for him. Betrayal. Pure betrayal.
Pocket fives was my first 4 of a kind, and therefore it was my true love. And I've just started playing so much more volume that I am more excited by pocket aces now. And I don't like it. But yeah, I hated people that answered pocket aces, but it was like, I am now more excited. I genuinely used to be more excited when I saw pocket fives. But sets incoming, sets coming right here.
I still say pocket aces. I think when they ask me, Jim, I say pocket aces.
Because we're nits.
Exactly.
Good hand.
Exactly. But I mean, at least I know at that moment I've got the best hand. So
that's a good
very
feeling.
Moment, it may not, it may not hold up, but at that moment I've got the best hand.
Yeah, that's the time to get the chips in. Well, listen, nobody flops more sets than me. I see Jamel Cuevas is in the YouTube chat. He can attest to that. And it is honestly among the best feelings in poker. So I don't blame you for that one. All right. Well, we're going to move into stake study stack here. Uh-oh. Am I not coming through? Did what? Did who? What?
All the volume cut out, so I didn't know if it was you or me or everybody.
Okay, I think people. Can you guys hear it? Can the rest of you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear everything fine. Okay, yeah, that was just a small death, just for a moment, but yeah, no, I'm back. So let's move into. We've actually got a new game. We're going to play Stake Study Stack in just a second, but we've got a new game that Chris Jones is going to introduce right here. Chris, run away.
All right, Daniel, you are our special guinea pig again with a new game. You've heard us do Stake Study Stack in the past, so this is a new game that we've invented just for your appearance. And this game is called Stack, Stack, or Stack. And your 3 names are Gopher Boy TJM, Jinch, or Taylor Moss.
It's a tough one. You got to pick one to stack, and one to stack.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Taylor Moss first because that's usually going to be live. So it's going to be for more money up top.
Good choice.
Gopher Boy TJM because I haven't gotten the best of him a lot on Poker Stars. And then Jinch because he's on a variety of websites with that one and just it's less special.
Yeah, it's run of the mill, right? It's everywhere, right? Yeah. Fair. I like that. That's very good answer.
Nicely done. And thanks for being our guinea pig in a couple of ways tonight, Daniel. We do also have another comment from the YouTube chat here. This is from Greg's Take saying, prepaying the mortgage with poker winnings. That's gold. Yeah, exactly. Love it. Again, kudos, man. Very impressive. All right, let's get back. We're going to play our boring old stake study stack game. So you know the drill. You're going to get 3 names. One that you would like to stake in a poker tournament or cash game. One you'd like to study with to help you improve as a player. And one that you'd like nothing more than to just stack them at the table and take all their chips. The 3 names that we have for you are Chuck Kersey, and if folks don't know, Chuck is a popular Minnesota player and a friend of Dan's and has had some amazing success over the years, including, I think, a top 5 finish in a bracelet event over the summer that Dan and I actually got to rail the final table for, which is really exciting. Wesley Cannon, one of the co-hosts of the popular Suited Kings podcasts, and Louie Hillman, another very successful recreational player from Minnesota, who is an absolute beast in the mixed games and in No Limit Hold'em. Daniel Kennedy, you have Chuck Kersey, Wesley Cannon, Louie Hillman, stake, study, or stack?
The absolute easiest one is to stack Wes Cannon. We play a lot in the global streets together. His from the Suited Kings podcast. Anytime I knock him out of a tournament, I copy the hand and send it to his co-host. I have also I mentioned earlier, don't do things for the lulz. There was a PKO event where he had I think 9 blinds left, and I had 68 blinds, and he raised under the gun to 5. I had 10-4 suited on the button. That's definitely good enough for a min raise, in my opinion, to try to take him out. We had the deck read pure. We caught our 4 and knocked him out of the tournament. We've actually got a decision here. Is it long-term staking deal or a singular event?
I believe it's a singular event is how this was originally crafted. Yeah. Although I should shout out Eric Jin is the one who put this fantastic game together. So I would defer to him. He's not here in the show because he lives on the West Coast and has to work like all of us recreational poker players, other than Rob Washam. But yes, so yeah.
I'm going to switch it up then. I had it written the other way. For a singular event, I'm going to go Louie Hillman. If I get to pick the event, it'd be the 10,000 limit hold'em at the World Series. But I mean, the man cashes, and even just seeing him at a local casino, you'll see him in Minnesota 6, 7, 8 times a year, and usually 4 or 5 final tables in there. The man is an absolute beast, and studying. I mean, Chuck Kersey's game is so far beyond mine. He is a fantastic individual. He flew me out to watch his final table. We had hung out, I believe, 3 times prior to that. I had misread the schedule for MSPT side events. I read the San Diego schedule instead of the Running Aces schedule. I got to Running Aces just in time to Max Late Regin event, bust after 20 minutes. And I was like, I'm not driving home. I'll stay here and sweat Chuck for day 2. He ran super deep in there for 20 to 30,000. And then he's just like, well, I'm going to fly you out when I make a final table at the World Series this summer. I'm like, yeah, you sure are. And sure enough, he did. And I flew out there that day with a connecting flight in Kansas City. And yeah, I mean, we had a blast. I mean, Chuck's my boy. He's a fantastic, very nice person, and I think there's so much to learn from him. Watching him exploit Crazy Carl at the MSPT stop, Carl just opening so wide, and Chuck 3-betting him constantly, and just watching that, like, you expect Crazy Carl to run over the table. You don't expect somebody to be standing up as often, and just watching a guy who that was his coming out party. And then, getting to go and watch his, second one again. He's a wizard, and I love him.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, three great names to choose from. And yeah, Danny, it was really cool. You and I got a chance to even buy him a beer on his birthday, the day that he had that big 6-figure score down there in Las Vegas. So very cool. And good answers. All right. Dan Kennedy, that is the end of the interview portion here on the RecPoker podcast. If you're in the YouTube chat, stick around. We're going to give away our fantastic prize in just a minute. Dan, is there anything else you want to share with the group, or do you have like any social media handles that you'd like people to follow to get more Dan Kennedy in their lives, or anything like that? Can we go to dankennedy.pokerpro.com anytime soon, or what's the best way for folks to look you up?
There's no intent to go pro. I am provide for a family of 4 on one income, so I will never take the risk of being a pro. If you want to, I wouldn't recommend it. My Twitter handle is AceRagOff. which was started as a needle to a person that I played a hand with, and their girlfriend had mocked me for not being on Twitter at the time.
Nice.
So I beat him out of a hand with ace 6 offsuit. So I started ace reg off. And I do want to clarify from the beginning segment, the pizza should be bacon, onion, jalapeno, and pineapple. It's just it has so much going on.
Noted. Yep. All right. We're gonna call that. We're gonna call that the was it Charles Xavier? The Charles Xavier. Is that's the handle, right? On Global?
Xavier.
Francis Xavier. God damn it. Okay. Yeah.
To the Global Poker Home Game.
Yeah, I knew it was wrong as soon as I said it.
Not from X-Men
guy. God damn it. Okay. All right. Well, Dan Kennedy, thank you so much. I knew this was going to be a fun one. You're such a fun guy. I always enjoy playing with you. Thanks for coming on the show, and I hope to see you again real soon. Stick around if you like. We're going to talk about some recent home game wins and give away a fantastic prize. Rob Washam. Why don't you shout out our ROI winner for the month of January in our home games? Oh, you're muted at the moment, Rob. You're going full Somsky.
There we go. I'm going full Somsky there. Yeah, that's what we do. And it's very appropriate because our number one ROI man in January was Poker Geek MN.
What? Whoa! What a boss!
Now he's not eligible for the prize because obviously he's already here, so he doesn't need it. So the number one premium member was Bone Crusher 14.
Oh man, he doesn't need it either. Marcel's a freaking killer.
Followed by Bloop 7.
Ah, right on.
And then another RECing Crew member, a guy named Rabman 50.
Oh, let's go.
And then Now Then KB.
Yeah, Doug.
Nice.
One that John and I used to play home game with all the time. Then Max Chaos 2112.
Greg, our
guy Greg Clem. And JS Raider 77014, who I believe is in the YouTube chat today.
Wow. Okay. How exciting. Congratulations to all those players. And so this is, if you're a premium member and you're playing in our free Play Money home game club, Rob Washam every month checks the tables and says, these are the players that had the highest ROI in the month. And the prize is to actually come on the show and talk to a guest, join the panel for an interview with a guest coming up. So Rob, I know John Somsky had the highest ROI, but he is not allowed to win the prize. Who was the premium member? It was Marcel Dusick, Bone Crusher.
Bone Crusher, yes.
All right, there you go, Marcel. So send that email to jim@rec.poker because I handle the podcast bookings, and we'll put you in touch with the guest sometime coming up. And congratulations to you and to all of our amazing players who are kicking butt and having some great ROIs. John Somsky, why don't you let us know who some of our other recent winners are, and then we're going to give away a prize and roll on out of here.
Well, I first wanted to start off reminding people to, when they sign up to play the home game club, you have to have an account. And as Jim likes to say, you also a smile is required as well. And you have to put your RecPoker username on your account profile. We had someone who signed up for the PokerStars home game this week. Their screen name was Oops29, but I could not figure out if they had a RecPoker account or which one it was. So just make sure you fill out the RecPoker account. And oops, if you that was a mistake, then fill it in, sign up again, and I'll prove you this next time. All right, then for nightly events, we had PetBet33. Kim Kilroy got her first nightly victory for the year. And speak of the devil, Bone Crusher 14, Marcel Dusick got his first nightly victory for the year. Dan DRez G, Daniel A got his first nightly victory. Maddie Bumpo, Kathleen Twomey got her first nightly victory for the year. K Poker Wannabe, Ron Payton got his fourth nightly victory. 6 Devil Rod 6, Omar Rodriguez got his first nightly victory for the year. John Lancer got his first one. I'm wondering if I see what I did. Okay. Some of these are duplicates here. Let's skip John Lance for the time.
This is oops 30.
Yeah, this is. Anyway, Bone Crusher 14 Marcel Dusick also got his second mixed victory for the year. Evil Roy CA David Westerveld got his second international victory for the year. Then Isenma won his first international victory for the year.
Still doing
now we come back to John Lancer. He actually won the LPP event, so he can contact info at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Right on. Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks to all our participants and players in the home game club. There's almost 500 of us having a great time. We play 10 or 11 free play money home games every week, and the games are free, but the prizes are real. Jump on in and have some fun. Okay, well, I want to shout out again, thanks to Running Aces for their support over the years. If you go to runaces.com, you can find out all sorts of great stuff that's going on in there. They are having an MSPT tournament series in April. And that might even be like almost as fun as RecPoker Weekend, really, when you smack it all together. So I'd consider, folks, if you're looking, guys, I know that's setting the bar pretty high. There's no doubt about that. And then, go to Run Aces and check that out. And then let's get As9 Bovine in the YouTube chat saying Isenma is a beast. I was 3 times their chip in that game, and they ground me up. Yeah, Isenma, who goes by Spike. Was one of our earliest winners in the home game club, and I have a soft spot in my heart for them because they were the first name that John Somsky really routinely butchered week after week. So that's fantastic. We love to see that. Let's get the wheel of fame and fortune out here for everyone who typed the words food bank into the YouTube chat and see who our winner is going to be this week. It's spinning, it's faming, it's fortuning. And Eric Anderson, BC14, you were so close. I hope you come back next week. Eric Anderson, speaking of longtime friends of the show, congratulations, Eric. Keep up all your great work, by the way. Love all your posts and a prolific contributor to our forums and our Discord. Eric, send that email to info@rec.poker to claim your prize. And if you're watching this live and you're a premium member, I encourage you, go check out Mark Zhang's office hours, which are starting in about 2 minutes. It's a fantastic study group that Mark runs every month on the fourth Monday of the month. He's such a talented player, a great coach. We're going to be talking about minimum defense frequency tonight. So if you're a premium member, like I say, go in and join us in the conversation live. And if you're not free tonight, or if you're listening to this at home, just like all of our study groups, you can find them recorded in our video archive. We put out dozens of videos every month, and there's all sorts of great stuff going on there. All right. Well, I want to thank Daniel Kennedy. I want to thank the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, Chris Jones, Rob Washam, Joe Coolis, John Somsky, Lorianne Persinger, our invisible producer, Rob Gardner. Of course, everyone here in the YouTube chat. That was so much fun. Thanks for joining us. And all our listeners at home, we'll see you next week on the RecPoker Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, gang. Have a good night.